start our draft recap. Our first captain up is going to be Ikey Chaz with the Wrecking Balls. And before we get into everything, I just want to say thank you to our sponsors, Ziani and D2, and D2 right now especially because we're actually in their office using their conference room. So big thank you to D2. All right, so let's jump right in. I'm going to start with with the biggest position on the field. We're going to start with pitchers. So we know that you took Jackie again this year. Obviously very confident based on the fact that he won last year. Is this defense going to be enough to get him through a second time?
I feel that it will. Again, it all depends on really what the offense this year brings on the other teams. You got a lot of new players, a lot of new faces. But based on last year, I think he had the lowest ERA.
He did.
And that was necessary for a guy like Jackie. But look, the guy puts the ball over the plate, and the defense is always ready because he's not walking anybody. So 3 pitches in, you know the ball's in play. So everyone's going to not fall asleep. They're going to be ready. I played with him last year, third base. We had at short, we had Bernie. I replaced him with Jack, but I think he'll get the job done. And it was for Bernie's first year at short.
Right, and going out and getting Jackie as late as you did,
right,
you actually give yourself a better shot here to get Jack Moseri, and in the second round you took Ezra Levy?
At the second round I took Ezra Levy. So with that thought process is basically what I wanted to do is cover this side of the field. So I knew that I was locked in the 4th round, so I was at third. Went with Jack with my first pick, covered one of my most important positions at short. And then my second round pick, I went with Ezra Levy. Great bat. The guy batted probably top 3 in the league, if I'm not mistaken. He batted 482.
Got to be
wow.
close.
Yeah.
And this outfield you had last year, same exact outfield.
So this is the same outfield as last year. It fell into place. That Aldia, I believe, was my 3rd pick. And again, I was just basically, once I got this side done, I was kind of like just now shifting, taking the best available player to fill in my rest of my spots across. So I went with LD, and then the next pick, if I'm not mistaken, we have a list here. It was Isaac Cabasso.
LD, you took Isaac Cabasso. Yes, and then
Right.
you took yourself.
Right.
So another thing I'm kind of seeing on this team now that I'm looking at it, not seeing a lot of speed. I see LD, and then
Cabasso. Barry's fast.
Barry maybe.
Barry's got a little bit of speed.
See, there might be a bit of like a...
Definitely not on the younger side of players.
Well, you have young players.
I could still run.
Well, Seymour's got a little speed.
I could still run.
Right, yeah, but you know.
Look at speed for me is not so much necessary. I mean, it's good. You could extend bases and things like that.
Havoc.
You definitely can. But you know what? The truth is, I don't know if that's really ever been my forte as far as captaining a team. I think it was more just fundamentals, base to base, get the clutch hit, move the base runners over. Again, not so concerned. It never really even crossed my mind. LD and Cabasso to me, I think is more than enough, especially LD leading off, Cabasso in the middle. I think the speed is not anything that I personally would be concerned about. I want to know that my hitting 1 through 10 is consistent and everybody knows their positions, which is also, I think, a benefit that I have when I did the draft is that I didn't take too many risks with taking unknown names and figuring it out after week 1.
Right.
I feel that with the people I have, I know them very well, and these are their primary positions. They've played them, they know them, this is what they're about.
Yeah, I don't see a single rookie on this team.
So, you know, even Barry was new last year, but that's his position at second base. His father, Morris Cohen, I played with for many years. These people are going to play the positions that they know to play. There's no figuring anything out.
Right.
Which is, I can just go into week 1, just get up there and perform.
You have flexibility here.
Yeah.
You can move Vic and Isaac.
Correct.
And Eli Hassan kind of can be floater. The outfield, I'm not going to even, they won last year.
Look,
so
this is the outfield that I had last year. They did the job. Right. I'm not going to say they're the fastest or anything. They got the job done. They know what their roles are.
Right.
And to me, not having to talk to the team when you're trying to play is very crucial.
Yeah.
because you could be so distracted positioning people while you're trying to focus on the game.
Yes.
Being a captain and playing can be very hard. It takes talent to do that.
Right.
And the fact that I know that everyone knows what to do is also takes the burden off my shoulders. That's also.
I think what people usually see when they look at this team, they're going to see Jackie Schwecke and just be excited to hit off him. But truthfully, he had the lowest ERA in the league last year, and it's because of this outfield, and it's the same one. So as much as people like to say, oh, well, the pitcher, this, that, it worked. So as much as I want to say, well, can they do it again? Until they show me they can't.
Right.
Right. So, like we were saying, Aldi, a lot of range. You know, he'll get to all these balls in and out, but it's the runners taking the extra bases. You know, he's going to bounce a lot of those throws and so on and so forth.
Right. So again, I did take that in consideration, but again, knowing how we played defense last year with Jackie on the mound and LD in center field, we played fundamental softball. We didn't give away, he probably didn't give away much walks throughout the season. Again, not making errors, giving guys free bases when it shouldn't happen. That'll cut down on all that. If we're not walking people and we're not making errors where it should be an out at first, and we're not giving up a ground ball to short as a base hit, that'll cut down that. And it worked last year. Again, I'm basing it on last year, but I think that if we go with that mindset, we play good defense. Again, if it's an earned single and the next guy hits one and he wants to go for third, we'll deal with it.
Right.
We'll deal with it. But ultimately, it's all about not giving the free passes. But again, Seymour played very well in right. He does have a very good arm. But again, I think with Jackie, I think a lot of the balls are going to get pulled. I think a lot of them are going to get pulled. I got a lot of action at third. I think Jack has a little bit more range than Bernie did last year. As far as mobility.
Sure.
I'm not so concerned. I know, like I said, the benefit of having Jackie on the mound, and that's why I built the outfield kind of with the mindset knowing that it was successful last year, and I think there's no reason why it shouldn't work again.
Do you plan on using Isaac as a floater in the outfield, like in these spots, or do you plan on having him like in front of second base?
That is going to be determined really based on the scenario of the game, but my focal point is kind of use him like I did with Mo Levy last year, where I kind of put him on the perimeter. If I need him to help out a little bit in the outfield, I'll put him in a little bit of a short, in the gap at times. But again, that's also a utility guy like that is very, very, very important. Right. Because you can put him really. Again, at third, he can play short. Again, you have that versatility, and to have that key guy. I want to say he was like a Randy Velarde. I know, but you're a Met fan, so that don't count. But he's an old Yankee for you young guys out there. But you can put. He's a utility guy.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking with Jackie, he's going to give up a lot of hard ground balls that Jack's not really going to have an opportunity to get to unless you have a Cabasso in the infield. Mm-hmm. And I'm not so confident. Maybe prove me wrong, but I'm not so confident that Isaac Cabasso will play such a great short center field. I think he had some success at third base mainly because he was getting the balls that were coming right at him rather than having to pivot to his right or to his left.
I will disagree, and the reason why is because I actually felt that he's better where he is as opposed to third, because I think he had trouble making the throws from third. I don't think he picked up the balls backhandedly as easily as you think. If you go back to the tapes and you watch the games and you see what I see, he's more comfortable in that floating area. Because you know what? It's going to be more of a fly ball situation for him in that scenario.
If he's playing shallow out.
Correct. Or even at any point. Again, he's going to get the bloops. He's going to get that. To me is more important. Anything hit up the middle and he's there, I think it's an easier throw for him than making the throw or the backhand at third base. I think I've played with him for many years. I know he used to be a shortstop. He has the capability. I feel that this was more of a safer position for him, and I think he feels more comfortable playing that floating position. It just gives him a lot of versatility, and I think I felt that third base was not, well, that's why I won the Gold Glove at third. you know.
And I think everybody will have a similar problem here and here. I think most right sides are going to be probably a little bit weaker than every
Usually
other
is.
spot on the field.
Usually
so
is.
I'm not really going to criticize anybody's right side for being worse than.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Barry Cohen has been. It's what last year was his first year.
Yeah.
So again, you know, I don't know much about him. You know, I know that his father, and I know his. You know, I played with him. I played with his uncle, his Jesse, and Wedge. His, you know, Morris's two brothers.
Yep.
They're all talented. They all can play softball. I went with the genes in the family.
I've seen him play. He can play. It's just you know.
But second base is second base. I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
All right.
you know, I don't know if there's really a main second baseman. I
No.
don't think did anyone even put down as second base in the draft.
Well, used to have them. Now they play shortstop.
Right.
All right, let's go. Let's look at this lineup.
Yeah.
So I'm actually a big fan of the first 4 or 5, maybe even you know what? Maybe even down to 7. I'm seeing a lot of high batting averages. I love Aldi in the 1 spot. I think that he hit 381 last year, but I'm sure his OBP was much higher just because he draws a lot of walks. He's a smaller guy, kind of like me, and he's going to
It took him a while, I think, to find his niche. I think behind what hit.
Yeah.
I think he came around during the playoffs more than regular season. I think he started getting better as the season went on. He felt more comfortable.
I think that you'll see a trend throughout the league this year that most batting averages are going to go down, but I actually think that Jack Moseri's batting average is going to be pretty consistent with where it was last year. I'm seeing this kid rope the ball in coil in our Sunday morning league. His bat is actually pretty, really dangerous. So I actually expect that to stay pretty much where it is.
Again, he's new, still a newbie to the league. I mean, he's what 5 years maybe total. I mean, I played with him his rookie year. I drafted him, and he's gotten better every year since. So I expect the same thing this year. I just think he's just going to keep getting better and better.
No, I like that move a lot, honestly. And Ezra Levy, same thing. It's just a little bit of a, this was his first year. I'm expecting a little bit of a decline.
Ezra Levy was actually this is his third year.
Third year?
Yes.
Oh, so I thought last year he came in as a rookie with his brothers, but I guess...
No, he played, I believe, for Isaac Home the year before.
Oh, okay. So yeah. All right. So then if that's the case, maybe not. But I know last year on the whole, batting averages were up. So I still probably see some regression, but still probably a 400 hitter, which is great from your 3 spot. Chaz is very consistent. There's nothing wrong with this. I still disagree with you. I still think that you should be batting 2 and move Jack. I think you and Jack Moseri should be flipped. I get the logic to keep you at 4, but I just think that you're much better up there at 2, setting the table for your 2 best hitters in Ezra and Jack.
Again, that's probably something that would probably, I don't say that this is going to be, the end all be all for my lineup. I'm sure there will be changes, and I think that's, the only thing, rather than my defense, I think that the lineup is the only thing that might have a couple of changes in there, because it's filling out where people feel more comfortable. Some people hit better in certain spots, different scenarios. That all plays a role. I'm not your typical number 4 hitter, okay? But it also depends who's in front of me. So if they're getting, guys like this, that's what my success in the last couple of years have been better because I've had those type of players in front of me. I had what's his name? Yaakov Saruya in front of me. I had 1 year Yankee in front of me. So when you got these big bats in front of you, it kind of makes you a free swinger. Right. And that's where you could say, it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to be successful.
And the more I think about it, if I have a base open and I have Jack Moseri and then Isaac Cabasso, I'm not pitching to Jack Moseri.
Correct. So again, that my theory was also is really to keep Jack and Ezra together. I think I needed those 2.
Well, they would still be hitting next to each other.
Yeah.
Just be.
I didn't want to wait that long to get that far
Get your
down.
best guys in the first inning. I hear it. I agree with that.
As always, you might get that extra bat later in the game.
Yeah.
But again, we're gonna have to play that out. And really, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if changes are made anyway.
Cabasso, I deleted a batting average. I'm gonna go back here. Okay, Cabasso, another one of those guys. I love him to death, but I also see some regression. I think, again, one of those guys who benefited a lot from the weaker pitching crop last year, or the weaker defenses, I should say, from last year. And I think he'll be one of those guys that regresses. I don't think it'll be a major regression, but I think that a lot of those ground balls that got through or those bloops that dumped, I don't see that happening again this year. Seymour Levy batted .441. Curious for your take on him. I think that he has the stuff to bat .441, but will he bat .441?
Right. Again, I think everyone from 1 through 5, basically, I think you will have the consistency. You will have the smart hitting, the ones that'll take pitches, the ones that know the situation. I think with Seymour, he was just more of a hit the ball hard type of guy.
Yeah.
So again, I think I think a lot of my players, when it comes to batting, they're not what's the right word? They're not just they're not going to swing it like 3-0. This is not going to happen. Like these guys, I think are smart. I think these guys know the scenarios. They know what they're doing when they get up to the plate. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go chase the ball 10 feet over my head. I don't see that with these guys. Again, these little things matter. They do matter. You got a guy up there in a situation and he's swinging on the first pitch. I don't see these guys doing that.
No, I agree with you.
Like that to me is mental. The game is more mental than it is anything. And to me, I think you have that with this crew.
I like this lineup a lot.
Again, time will tell. There's no question about it. On paper, I'm very happy with it.
Victor, another guy, pretty consistent. He had a down year 2 years ago, but back to 400 where he kind of lives. He's a pull hitter. He's going to pull the ball a lot. So if you adjust, maybe you get him, but he hits the ball hard. Barry and Mars was in the league for years and years. So it's solid slot in your 8 spot. Ellie Belhassan, obviously, with 189, you're going to want to. I don't think you can. I think that's going to trend upwards just because batting 189 twice is unlikely. And then Ikey Chaz, we don't have stats on you. I know you played, but there's no stats on you from last year. So for now, I'm going to give you like the rookie treatment. You're going to get the R. But overall, I got to say, I kind of like this team. I think it's sneaky. I know that you can't grade it, so I'm going to give you an NA for yourself. And forgive my handwriting. I think I'm going to give this team a B+. I like it a lot. I think obviously we talked about center field. People are going to take extra bases. Jackie's going to give up a lot of hard balls that sometimes they can't make plays on. They just hit too hard. But overall, with all that in mind, you have the same outfield at 1. You have a good lineup. It's deep. You're missing Bernie from last year, but you have Jack. So
I definitely took a hit, no question, with the the absence of Bernie. I didn't get Hammer back this year in the draft, but I think I filled in pretty adequately with what I got. I didn't take risks. I kind of know that week 1 I can go out there and it's just a matter of performing and not have to figure anything out. I think it's just what you get, what you see is what you got, and that's it. I think that gives me the freedom to just, let everybody do their thing.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.